Coming up on Network Africa, the UN Office of Counterterrorism sounds alarm on the rise of Islamic terrorist groups in Africa. Violence erupts in Nairobi as protests against Kenya's President William Ruto intensifies. Plus, Egypt joins Qatar and the United States to call on Israel and Hamas to resume talks to reach a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Hello and welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Layo Olarinde. The United Nations Office for Counterterrorism is warning that the Islamic State extremist group is escalating its threat level amid the political unrest in West Africa and the Sahel. Counterterrorism Chief Vladimir Voronkov informs the Security Council that a large area of Africa might come under the influence of the Islamic State and related terrorist groups as the group remains focused on conducting attacks abroad. According to him, the affiliates of the IS group have expanded and reinforced their operational zones in West Africa and the Sahel, and also broadened and strengthened their territories.
Groups continue to expand in the Sahel and inflict high casualties, undermining regional stability. Two of the Daesh affiliates in the region, the Islamic State West Africa province and the Islamic State in the Greater Sahel, have expanded and consolidated their areas of operations. Should these groups extend their influence in northern littoral states, a vast territory stretching from Mali to northern Nigeria could fall under their effective control. ISIL-K has improved its financial and logistical capabilities in the past 6 months, including by tapping into Afghan and Central Asian diasporas for support. The group has also intensified its recruitment efforts. The activity of Daesh and other terrorist groups in Afghanistan remains a significant concern. We must unite to prevent Afghanistan from once again becoming a hotbed of terrorism.
A military court in Congo has sentenced 25 people, including the leader of a rebel coalition, to death after a high-profile televised trial that started late last month. Corneille Nangaa, leader of the Alliance of Congo, was found guilty of war crimes, participation in an insurrection and treason. Nangaa and 19 other defendants sentenced to death were absent from the trial as they are currently on the run. The AFC is a political military movement launched by Nangaa in December with the aim of uniting armed groups, political parties and civil society against the DRC's government. One of its most renowned members is the M23, an armed group accused of mass killings in eastern Congo's decades-long conflict. The court's decision against Mr. Nangaa follows the announcement of a ceasefire between DRC and Rwanda last week following talks that was mediated by Angola. The ceasefire took effect on Sunday, but prospects are slim, according to analysts, with previous truces not lasting more than a few weeks and fighting having already resumed near the border with Uganda. Anti-government protests have returned to the streets in Kenya, resulting in injuries and more than 170 arrests. The demonstrations, though smaller in scale than previous ones, were marked by youthful protesters who marched through streets in 6 of Kenya's 47 counties, chanting anti-government slogans. Well, in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, normal business was disrupted in the central business district as shops remained closed and office workers avoided the area. Public transport was also largely halted as the minibus operators withdrew their vehicles for safety reasons, and security officers engaged in running battles with protesters using tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse them. There were also reports of live ammunition being used by the police.
Flock, even if it means forming like the Tahrir Square of Egypt, we shall flock this city. This is our homeland. This is Africa, and we shall not get away from our home. This is our homeland or death. We do not care. Ruto must go. We want accountability, we want justice.
Let's get more on this now. Joining us is Cyrus Ombati, Kenyan journalist, for more. Hello, Cyrus. Thank you for your time. Help us describe the situation at this time, where the protest is happening. We understand it's not only in Nairobi.
Thank you for having me the show. It seems that these protests are still persisting, despite the earlier promises by the organizers that it will end. But then there are issues which the president had promised, which have not been addressed. So that's why we're seeing that they are persisting. Then, like yesterday, as you said very clearly, they were being held all over the country. And apart from few towns where they didn't happen, we saw a number of protests happening here and there because given what happened yesterday, there were almost 174 people arrested out of this protest, even if the protests are allowed in the country. These people are demanding a number of issues, including their own corruption being intensified. People who are being appointed to the government to be clean, integrity issues, which the president does not seem to be addressing. Issues to do with unnecessary spending on government money, which the president has not actually addressed for so far.
Now, talk to us about the new cabinet members that have been sworn in. We understand they were, sworn in on Thursday, and we understand some of them are from the opposition party, and also some are returning to new portfolios.
Yeah, actually, remember this thing happened yesterday, the day the protests were being organized by the same group, Gen Zs. It was meant to deflate the protest itself. The president actually reached out to the opposition leader, Raila Odinga, to give his people so that he can join the government. He's calling the broad-based government so far. This was part of the efforts now to contain the protests which are being held all over the country. Some of those people came back to the government that had been in his former government, and the move was also seen as an abuse because the protesters were demanding that they leave government, but then the president decided to return around 6 of them. Those are part of the issues the protesters are raising, that why are you returning these people, and yet we demanded that they leave government because of 1 or 2 issues to do with integrity and poor governance.
Now, talking about the president, I mean, one constant demand from protesters since this all began is his resignation, the president's resignation. How is he, responding to this?
Well, to me, even that is not tenable for now, because as I told you earlier on, currently we don't have an electoral body. If the president resigns, as they are demanding, which is what I don't think doing that. It's either we have a deputy president taking over, or the military. That will now cause more chaos. That's why the president said, "Give me time, let me implement what you are demanding." For example, he's saying that, "Give me time, we constitute a new electoral body. Then if by, for example, say next year, we have a new agents for election, he can now say that we have something to do with a snap election if this process persists." But as it stands, they are going down just compared to the past incidents.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Cyrus Ombati, Kenyan journalist from Nairobi. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for me, the show.
Let's check in with what's happening in Sudan. The World Food Programme is ramping up, emergency assistance and also tackling famine risks in 13 additional regions across the country, where half of the population struggles daily to secure food. According to a WFP official in Sudan, in spite of severe access challenges due to the ongoing conflicts, the efforts include cash-based aid and negotiations for safer delivery of that humanitarian aid. Well, head of communications and spokesperson of WFP in Sudan, Lenny Kinsley, speaks on the group's progress so far.
WFP is ramping up its emergency assistance to people who are affected, especially those in the most severe levels of hunger across the country. It's important to note that there are also 13 other areas across Sudan that are at risk of famine, and it's not too late to turn the tide and stop famine from spreading. These 13 other areas are largely located in areas where there is ongoing conflict, in Darfur, in Kordofan, in Khartoum, and also a few localities in Jazeera State. It's been extremely difficult to get assistance in, so we need a massive expansion of humanitarian access and a cessation of hostilities, particularly in the conflict hotspots like El Fasher, Khartoum, other areas in the Darfur, parts of Jazeera State. Basically everywhere where there's conflict ongoing is where people are trapped and largely facing the highest levels of hunger and are struggling day by day to get by. There are around 90,000 people who are facing catastrophic levels of hunger in Khartoum, which was, a year and a half ago before this conflict started, a bustling city, the capital city, where there was very little concern about food insecurity at all. And now there are areas in Khartoum where we are hearing that people are just surviving on mixing whatever kind of cereals they have with water and drinking that once per day to survive.
A U.S. court has convicted a Mozambican former finance minister over a 10-year-old conspiracy that triggered the worst economic crisis in his home country since independence. Manuel Chang was found guilty of accepting payoffs through U.S. banks for approving secret loans. He denies the charges, and his lawyers say he plans to appeal the verdict. The loans were intended to pay for a fleet of tuna fishing ships and other projects, leading to the affair being dubbed the tuna bond scandal. However, the loans were plundered, leaving Mozambique's $2 billion in debt. Chang was arrested in South Africa back in 2018 and extradited to the U.S. the following year to face fraud and money laundering charges. The Mozambican authorities had wanted him sent back to the country to be tried on home soil instead of the U.S. He will be sentenced later, potentially facing 20 years in prison. Now, Egypt, Qatar and the United States have called on Israel and Hamas to resume talks to reach a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, as Israel continues its bombardment of the territory amid fears of further regional escalation. In a joint statement, the three countries urge Israel and Hamas to resume urgent discussions on the 15th of August in Doha or Cairo and to close all remaining gaps and commence implementation of the deal without further delay. It adds that work has been ongoing for months to reach a framework agreement, and it is now on the table with only the details of implementation missing. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office has responded to the call, saying in a statement that Israel would send a delegation to attend talks next week. Hamas, the Palestinian political faction that governs Gaza, is yet to respond. Let's take a break now on the program. Still ahead. On our Africa Tech segment, we take a look at the role robots could play in the cohabitation of humans and nature. Please join us again. Welcome back to the program. South Africa is celebrating Women's Day today, and President Cyril Ramaphosa acknowledged that even after 30 years of democracy, black and colored women in the country remain the most severely affected by poverty. Speaking at the Women's Day commemoration at Dennis Nell Stadium in the Northern Cape, President Ramaphosa highlighted that this group continues to face the greatest challenges in accessing jobs and opportunities, remaining at the bottom of the economic ladder.
And this happens in companies and other institutions where men are seen as people who should earn more than women. What is so much more important for a man to earn more than a woman? Nothing. We're all empowered with the same brain power, and maybe women have better brain power than men, and so we must earn the same. On average, women earn a quarter of their income from grants compared to a far lower percentage for men. We must therefore create more jobs and more economic opportunities for women so that they are less vulnerable to exploitation and abuse.
Welcome to our Africa Tech segment. Here in Nigeria, the Chukwuemeka Odumegu Ojukwu University in Anambra State has officially added artificial intelligence and robotics to its curriculum. Now, this initiative aligns with the governor's vision of cultivating a digital workspace capable of addressing societal challenges in the state.
At the Chukwuemeka Odumegu Ojukwu University, artificial intelligence and robotics have been introduced to prepare the university for the forthcoming fourth and fifth industrial revolutions. The move is part of a broader curriculum review by the state government. And the chief executive officer and managing director of Anambra State ICT Agency highlighted that this development is integral to the state's educational strategy.
We are here today to flag off something that will be very revolutionary. Where students of this Chukwuemeka Odumegu University will have access to real-time robots, AI, be able to really understand this technology that is disrupting the world, disrupting industries, and I'm happy that it is right here in the heart of Anambra State, in our own institution.
The principal officer of the technology team noted that the program will significantly foster research and innovation at COOU.
It is a great opportunity for us in this university, and research can now start from here. Innovation can now start from here. And I tell you, people in different industries are waiting for the product of this university.
The Memorandum of Understanding was signed between the university and the tech training team. The acting Vice-Chancellor, Professor Kate Omenuga, expressed enthusiasm about the creative potential which the new technology will bring, emphasizing its role in community service.
We have to key into this because there are so many things we will learn. That is where the world is going to. And sometimes when I see people write communication and artificial intelligence, sometimes some of them do not understand what they are doing. But what we want at this moment is for us, not just the students, for the staff also, to keep it for the world. This is going to be open to the outside community too. It's not just about
practical training in AI and robotics aimed at equipping students with actionable solutions will commence immediately.
The advantage of what we are doing is we are going to be practicalizing the learning in AI. All those codings that students used to do in the past without really knowing how to apply them. We are going to take them from beginning to end and then see a product that they can create to solve problems around them.
Students have shown great excitement for the new training opportunities.
I've never done this before, and this is the first time of me doing it. It's really fun. It's really exciting. I enjoy every bit of it, from the starting point till we are almost done fixing the robot. We're actually doing a 4-wheel robot, which is like a motor car.
I would say very well. I'm learning a lot. I'm enjoying it. I'm also benefiting from it. So I really thank our VC for bringing such thing in our school.
As the acting Vice-Chancellor reviews the practical training sessions, the tech training partners are optimistic that COOU will be instrumental in advancing Anambra's tech-driven initiatives, fulfilling Governor Soludo's vision.
Can robots help us live in harmony with nature, or can they assist us to live a more environmentally friendly lifestyle? Well, that is what school teams participating in the World Robot Olympiad will find out as they work with the theme Earth Allies. Take a look.
The World Robot Olympiad is more than just a competition. It's a global platform where young innovators can come together to showcase their skills in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. This year's theme is Earth Allies, one that focuses on the symbiotic relationship between humans and nature.
From natural disasters. Can robots?
Education, and particularly robotics.
Here in Nigeria, the national organizer for the World Robot Olympiad is the ArcLight Foundation, and their aim is to enhance STEM education across the country.
In the world where technology is advancing at an unprecedented pace, robotics stands at the forefront of transformative change. This competition is more than just a showcase of technical skills. It is a testament of the ingenuity and determination of our bright minds who pursue to push the boundaries of what is possible, especially with the coaches as well.
Alongside the annual robotics competition is a symposium with the theme Embedding Robotics and STEM Education in the Nigerian Curriculum. This aims to discuss and promote the integration of robotics and STEM education in schools.
Many more people are leaving the field of hardware, and that's why we find out that our problems in Nigeria remain. Because while we have a lot of apps, there are so many apps on your phones, but how many physical solutions, how many self-driving vehicles, and so on do we have? So until we begin to encourage robotics, not just at the primary school level, but even within the university level and post-educational levels, we may continue to struggle as a country.
For us to access the Generation Alpha children, we've got to speak the language that they understand. Robotics in particular offers a unique opportunity to engage our children in hands-on learning, developing their creativity and problem-solving skills. By incorporating robotics into our curriculum, what will happen? We can improve students' engagement and motivation. We can develop essential skills like coding, programming, and engineering. And not only that, we can also enhance our children's understanding of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Using Lego Mindstorms, these young minds are exploring how leveraging robotics can help foster harmony between humans and nature. The competition features 4 main categories: RoboMission, RoboSports, Future Innovators, and Future Engineers. Each category challenges students to push the boundaries of what robots can do.
My experience has been well in this competition. It has helped me in creativity and everything. Like, I've always been dreaming on going for a competition about robotics because building a robot has always been my dream.
We're asked to design a robot that will help to solve the problems involving the lake elements, the green elements, which are the park elements, to solve the problems involving environmental problems, including farming.
For the past month or so, we've been working on building a robot from scratch. We didn't even have any build. It's been a wonderful event. It's also been stressful. Preparing for this kind of event takes months of practice.
The national competition serves as a qualifying stage, with winners earning the chance to represent Nigeria at the World Robot Olympiad International Final in Turkey in November.
And that's it on the program today and for the week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde. Have a lovely weekend.